afternoon, everyone. Hello, my name is Deborah Lamb, and I am the Chief of Innovation and Performance for the City of Pittsburgh. We're very happy today to launch Bird's Eye View, our own in-house application for transforming city services throughout the city. Let me take a step back and talk a little bit about what this means to us in the historic moment of this nature on Halloween Day, is that this first started a few years back when we passed the open data legislation. Under Mayor Peduto's leadership, it really meant that all data that was non-personal, non-confidential would be open by default. And that paved the way for the Western Regional Data Center that we have hand in hand with the University of Pittsburgh and Allegheny County for that first wave of data to be accessible, measurable, and available for the public. However, we in the City of Pittsburgh think data is only as important as the application of it. So we can release a lot of data, but until the citizens actually understand and can apply the data, it's not as worthwhile and something that we take to heart. So once the open data legislation and data was released, we then spent the next 3 years really building out the team under the leadership of Laura Meixel, who is our Chief Data Officer, and her team, the Analytics and Strategy, to really think about how data can be applied and how it can actually benefit citizens day to day. Bird's Eye View, which is something we've developed in-house, is that first mark in creating that. I'm next going to let the team show you what that actually means in terms of demonstration and the application of that data. And then we'll have the mayor and the chief talk a little bit about what it means to the broader context of the city. And then, of course, I'll close it and open up for questions. So without further ado, I'm going to launch Bird's Eye View, and Laura and Jeff.
Thank you, Chief. Hi, everybody. I'm Laura Meixel, and in a moment, Jeffrey Arnold and I will give a demonstration of Bird's Eye View. But I'd like to take just a moment to describe how this project fits into our work as the Analytics and Strategy team. Since I started in 2014 and Council passed the open data legislation, our team has been building pipelines into and out of city systems. From our financials to public safety to asset management, we now have the ability to access information from almost any city system and create visualizations based on those data sets for our city leadership and for citizens. The various versions of Bird's Eye View that we've built. So we'll tell you a little bit about, so this is the public-facing version of Bird's Eye View, but we actually started building a version for the police, which Chief McClay can speak to. We built a version for the firefighters, one for the Department of Public Works, another for council, and we're in the process of making one for the Department of Finance. Each of those versions of the application fits directly to the needs and the data requests from those groups, and we were able to work on a really iterative basis with those teams to make web maps that best informs their work. So, and the various, all of these applications have been built on using free and open source tools and totally by city employees, those on my team. So I'd like to take just a minute to introduce and thank them. So Jeffrey Arnold, who will be giving the tour shortly, is the main architect of Bird's Eye View, an innovation and performance analyst and recent Carnegie Mellon graduate. Also, we have Tara Matthews, Max Zircone, and Nick Hall from my team, all of which were instrumental to putting together this application, which we're excited to launch today. The kinds of maps, dashboards, and management tools that my team can create are now nearly endless. And as the city continues to evolve in its management and communications practices, our team now has the power to be a strong, capable partner to build tools that will work for the city. So with that, we will show you the apple of our eye, Bird's Eye View. So I would also like to point out that the totally adorable logo for Bird's Eye View, which I personally am a huge fan of, was also developed in-house by our very capable graphic designers on our web team, Danielle Jones. Isn't he adorable? And we're going to be putting out a little bit of stuff later on that will show you some of the other versions for the department, in which the little bird is wearing different kinds of hats. A police hat for the police version, a fire hat for the fire version. So please stay tuned for that. So Jeffrey is going to work us through a couple of scenarios that you can use Bird's Eye View to answer questions.
All right, so first what I'm going to give you is a pretty basic overlay of the different types of data that are on here. So the first three that I want to point out are the police blotter, which are crime incidents throughout the city. We also have arrests that were made, and then also non-traffic citations as a separate layer. We also have 311 requests, so this is anything that citizens call and alert the city to. We also have building permits, building code violations, and last but not least, city facilities, which there's actually surprisingly quite a few of. So there's a lot of different reasons that you could use Bird's Eye View. So what we're going to do is first look at incident where you're a community block watch group. So there's this nice little search bar up here at the top, and if you go ahead and type vandalism in here, it's actually going to search all the data sets in here. So it's looking through 311 requests, police blotter, arrests, all sorts of different ones for incidents of vandalism. So if you're a community watch group and you type this in, you're going to get eventually this whole view of the city, which shows us all the different vandalism requests that have happened. And so you can click in and search on these different areas. So if you're on the North Shore, you can see them here. It's a little whited out right now. There they are, finally. And you can see the different areas and where they've had. And you'll notice up here at the top, there's this date range. So by default, Bird's Eye View shows you the past 2 weeks of incidents, but you can actually go back pretty far. And we can look at vandalism, say you have a monthly meeting for your block watch group, and since we're here on the last day of the month, we can easily just change this, and it's going to go back through, search everything for all of October. And so you can see here where they're occurring. And when you click on these incidents, you actually get some different information. And also, the icons here are based off of the different UCR encodings that the police give the crime. So here we get the offense, the specific type of offense, which is criminal mischief, whether this incident has been cleared or not, the date and time that it occurred, the precise location for, safety concerns. We don't get it at the exact address where something happened, and instead it's either the block or intersection. And you can also see the neighborhood, the council district, and the police zone that this incident occurred in, as well as the CCR, which is the police crime number. Another thing that, say you're a community group, and you're really specifically looking at, you're focused in the Carrick neighborhood. So there's actually down here at the very bottom, as it adds everything back, there's this neighborhood filter. So if you go ahead and start typing Carrick, it'll populate there. We select Carrick, and now we're getting all the incidents from all the filters that happened in Carrick. The next thing that you might want to do is, say you care about abandoned vehicles. So if we just start typing that out, it's going to do that search again, and we're looking at abandoned vehicles. And this is, again, since the beginning of the month. If you wanted to see, further back, that's certainly something you can do. And then when we click on the 311 tooltip, we'll notice that it's different, right? So we have the request, the location accuracy. So for 311 requests, they, span all the different city departments. So we want to make sure that people's privacy is maintained. So this is about where it happened. You get the neighborhood, the public works division for stuff like this, and also a nice little link to see to submit your own 311 request. Say that, okay, well, I see an abandoned vehicle that didn't show up on here and you want to report it. It takes you right to the city webpage where you can report these incidences. So our last one here is, say you are you're planning your family reunion and you want to use one of our many fine city shelters. You can just go ahead and also do the same thing here and search shelters. So like I said, it includes the city facilities layer, which is all of the different city facilities. So this is recreation centers, police zones, firehouses. It searches for the shelters, and this one's the easiest one to look at. And you get its usage. This is a shelter, obviously, the name, so it's a, and then also its address and location. And then if you want to rent the facility, last year we did away with permit day, and you can actually register to get this facility, where you'll be prompted to create your account, make sure it's available. But this is an easier way than just going through the list on this website to see those sort of things. You can also similarly search for recreation centers and the like.
Yeah, so those are just a few. Those are just a few examples that we've sort of worked through, use cases for using the application. But of course, the citizens are our users now that we're live. It's available on the website, as well as, it's also mobile optimized, so you can use it on your phone. There's also a prominently featured feedback feature to this. This is certainly something that we see iterating and changing and developing as we get feedback from folks. So please, as you get a chance to check it out, let us know what you think. Additional information that you you'd want to see, features. We're open to all that. As I said, one of the most exciting things about this is that it was built by city employees, and it can therefore be changed by city employees. Before I turn it over to the chief, who's been one of our most fabulous users, just to say that it has been built just using city employee time. And on to the chief. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Laura. Thank you, Deborah. Thank you to your team. I can't tell you how excited I am about this. I mean, I was hired to implement data-driven policing, and this has been a wonderful boon. The inside-facing view of this has been extremely helpful for my chiefs and commanders to be able to have real-time, a daily situation update on what has been happening in their respective zones, and are using the data to deploy resources. So this is an extremely valuable tool. And I'm even more excited, quite honestly, about the public-facing version of this, because I know the power of it. From my previous life, when I was a zone commander in a different city, I used to take a lot of phone calls. What's happening in my neighborhood? Hey, there's this situation the other night. What was that all about? And we'd spend a lot of time looking stuff up, reading police reports, only to answer citizen questions. And at the point where we rolled out something that wasn't dissimilar to this, I don't think it was quite as sophisticated, certainly wasn't as interactive, but when we rolled it out, my phone didn't ring as much, because citizens knew what was happening in their neighborhood. Now those community meetings where they would want us to come and spend a half an hour reporting on what had been occurring in their neighborhood, they didn't need us to come to all those meetings. They only called us when they needed us to do something to help them with their problem solving. And the most exciting part of it was these neighborhood groups that were engaged would use this tool to become aware of what the problem is in the neighborhood. And a lot of times they would be proactive in fixing those low-level disorder problems themselves, keeping police from having to do it. So I see this as a very powerful tool to be able to really improve the collaborative relationships between community members who really want to take a stake in public safety in their neighborhoods and the police officers themselves. So I'm very excited about it. I love seeing the online reporting capacity for 311. Look forward to talk about what that might look like for 911 calls too, right? So the potential is endless when you have your own city teams developing these tools. So I think we should be rightly proud. So congratulations for the work. And I'll turn it over to Mayor Peduto.
First and foremost, thanks to the team. You have created a standard now that puts Pittsburgh at the top. We were looking at and understanding what Chicago had developed, and you surpassed it. So we now have a system in place that doesn't only revolutionize the way that we deliver public safety, but revolutionizes the way that the public will be able to interact with government. For that, thank you. Great job. And that's really what we're talking about. Up until today, this information wasn't given to the public. Well, it was, but you would have to show up at a police zone, make a request, wait for a paper form to be given to you, or call a public department, or be able to try to go and find out where your division was within Public Works, or look through files and files and files of paper to find out all the condemned buildings that are out there throughout your neighborhood or throughout the city. And now the public has the power to be able to simply get online in their kitchen, in a bathrobe, and get all the information that is available. All the public information at your hands. This is when we talked about the launch of Building Eye last month, getting all the information about permits and zoning and planning into the hands of community organizers and community leaders in order to be more proactive in neighborhood endeavors. The next logical step was getting all the information as it applies to government in the hands of people. And why is that important? Simply, information is power. And if you're going to have an empowered community, you need to make it easy to be able to get access to the information that affects their daily lives. Up until today, we didn't have that. With Burgh's Eye View, all the information is now available for the people. So, thank you. Chief.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Chief. Let me just close up on a few notes. So this is a huge testament to agile development, working well in city government. We note that this is not perfect, we want to improve upon it. We seek additional feedback and suggestions on how to make it better, and we'll keep going as we proceed. But I do want to make it as a testament to the mayor's vision in terms of government working well together. So while we in Innovation and Performance were, the main instigators, we worked with every other department within the city and throughout to try to get feedback. We worked, special thanks to council members in which, they gave us feedback. 311, we talked about buildings, licenses, and inspection, the police. So it was very much a government that really worked together across agencies and across departments. That's something that would benefit them internally, but also present it externally. So now as we roll this out, we really hope that we will continue to engage with citizens and residents as they want to ask the key questions. What is going on in my neighborhood? How can I help? What are things that could be improved upon? And where can I be involved in this? And so this spatial detail can really lend a hand and moving it forward. And, the mayor is right. This is unprecedented in terms of national government or city government moving data in that fashion and being developed in-house to continue that. The reason why we developed in-house is because we know we are empowered to fix it and improve upon it. We don't need to depend on, outside agencies as much because we in the community, through our own staff, can really move forward on that. So it's a really great day to agile development, to open data, and to government really working well together. Some additional features in terms of next steps, just so you know. So this will be launched, but during the next few weeks, obviously, we want to be able to teach others how we could use it. So we'll be sending some additional webcasts, some additional videos on, ways that community members and citizens can use it, and we'll be reaching out, for additional groups. So definitely come back to us on any additional questions. So with that, I'll open it up.